I'm gonna first draw the composition. Here you go. Now, the first part, I can see that right over here is about 1/3 at the bottom. So, coming down this way, and I like the fact that you use some leaves to blocking a part of the tree trunk. So you have one over here and the second tree over here. And you have some leaves right over here. Like that. Have some leaf over here too. I have some leaf over here. Have in a little distance. Have some tree over here. And have some detail for the grasses at the front. And now, let's talk about the relationship. The first thing, because I don't see your reference, so I have to assume it, okay? So you don't
Actually,
have to show, you don't have to show me.
I could nearly walk outside and show you.
What is that?
I could nearly walk outside and show you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Sometimes without the reference, probably even better. Okay. So you have full freedom, do whatever you want. And have some leaf over here. So first, let's talk about the relationship, not talk about inside the tree over here, because based on the relationship, we probably would have to change things instead of looking into the details too quickly. So the first thing, I'm going to use the soft pastel. First thing, let's talk about what is the color for the whole area for the grass. Right now, when you squint your eye, it looks very similar to the tree. That is the value between the tree, the group of the tree, and the grass is similar. And this is also very similar to the sky up over there. And so I want you to first start from making the decisions of who is the main object. It's the tree, right?
The tree.
The tree. In that
the
case,
tree in the foreground.
Yeah. So in that case, first thing, I'm gonna make the grass a little bit darker. I'm gonna make the tree to be the lightest among everything. It's darker already. And second thing, I'm gonna make the sky also a little bit darker. So you know what? I'm gonna make it this dark. Maybe too dark, I can always bring it back. I'm gonna do a little branding. I'm gonna organize the color. Now, without me doing anything else, I already have the relationship. Now, see the relationship? It's very clear. I'm going to do a little erasing. I'm going to have this a little bit lighter, like that, a little bit lighter. Clean that up a little bit. Instead of 3 trees, it's being parallel. How about only make 2? Is that bothering you?
No, I'll do.
Okay. I'm going to have one bigger, one a little bit smaller. I'm going to have the one on this side a little bit bigger, and the other one is a little bit smaller. So now this the first, the overall control. I'm going to have the background darker, and the foreground here also a little bit darker, like that. And I also going to have a little cast shadow, also a little bit darker. So I'm going to have a little bit darker color right over here. Here you go. Have that, something like that. You don't need to walk into the details too quickly because those may not be necessary, all the details, like that. And maybe have a little bit green colors. I'm going to, whatever color I'm going to change it to, the value composition is going to remain with purpose. Now also on the leaf over here, I'm going to put a little green color. A little green color over here. The color may be not the same, should be changed, but that's okay. I'm going to put a little color over here. But those are blocking out some of the shapes. So I'm going to change that to a little bit more greenish. So I'm going to use this green color instead. I think it's a little bit too bright, like that. Okay, put it over here. Is that the relationship is clear to you?
Yeah.
The tree remain to be light. I'm probably going to have a little detail to that, but it's not no need to rush it. You're going to start something from the overall control and gradually moving into smaller and smaller if that is necessary. Okay, so if it's not necessary, you don't have to always become systematic, always going into doing the tree, because you can end the painting like this if you want. Like let me show you. I'm gonna have a little bit and add a little bit like that, a little texture over here, just make it a little bit more convincing, maybe a little bit interesting. And like that, I'm gonna have this tree trunk a little bit bigger, like that. I'm gonna have a little bit of cast shadow from this and casting on the tree. I'm gonna have a little bit gray color to showing the cast shadow, but on the leaves and casting down onto the tree, but because it need to be have some cast shadow, like that. I still keep that to be light. I'm gonna add a little yellow color on the top over here, and I'm gonna use the eraser. I'm gonna try to have this lighter. I'm gonna have this lighter coming like this, and I'm gonna have this a little bit lighter, like that. Has the eraser over there. Now I'm gonna have the leaves a little bit lighter on the top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have a little bit lighter green color. I'm gonna take this color. I'm gonna see it's a little bit lighter. It's not really very much the same color. So I'm gonna have a little bit yellow color then, like that. So make it a little bit dimension. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have a very light, maybe not too light, a little bit kind of light yellow brown colors. I'm gonna have a little bit suggestions for some of their small branches, like that. And now I come back to the biggest connection. Now I'm going to think about the front over here. I'm going to make it a little bit solid. So I'm going to use my finger, blend it a little. Now it looks good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to have something a little bit different. Okay, right underneath over here, have some a little bit different. It will help the tree to stand out. And also have a little bit layering like that. Okay, now I'm gonna come back to the leaves over here. I'm gonna take a look at the leaves. Do I want it to stand out a lot more, or just you have to see that is how much you want it to stand out. So you remain those as you become groups. I'm gonna break this a little bit. I'm gonna have something over here suggesting a little bit thinner. I think it's just a little bit too thick, looks like. So I'm gonna have a little bit darker color. I want to see through over here. So everything you add to here, it has a purpose. That why you do that. Like this. First add a little darker color. And then I'm gonna add a little bit lighter color. So I'm gonna take this green color. And I'm gonna, this color may be too dark. So I'm gonna come back with this a little lighter color. Like this is good. This is, the color is good. Like that. And I have maybe some leaves going through over here. You're working out the relationship. You're not working out the trees. You're working out between those shapes. Let's see, we're gonna keep it like that. I'm going to work back into the background. I'm gonna make it a little bit gray. So we're gonna see, I'm gonna have a little bit a lighter blue color. I'm gonna to see, I can change that a little bit. Now you can change it if you want. I just want to show you that it's just not about the tree, not about the grass. It's about what object you want it to stand out. Now I'm going to have a little bit lighter green color over here to show the layering. I can have a few small detail like that. Now this is good. I think I'm going to work into the background, have a little bit suggestions into the tree in the background. But it need to belong to the background. It belongs to the bigger group, right? So I'm going to use this color.
The tree in itself is meaningless without the trees in the background, because the trees in the front are part of the scrub, the mallee scrub. They just happen to be the ones in the front, but they're part of the whole, we just call it scrub.
Okay.
I should walk outside and just show you.
Like say over here, I'm gonna have a little bit gray color for a little bit different kind of blue because it belongs to the same group. So on the back over here, I'm gonna use this, just give a little bit texture. And maybe a little bit the brown, a little bit. I don't want to have it too much. So because in the background, now it kind of suggesting something going on in the back. Maybe you see something over here, so give a little bit soft suggestions in the back over here. And now I think that the whole relationship is already there, it's formed already. Now what's the next thing you want to do? And then you're looking into, okay, now I'm going to clean up a little bit to create a suggestion. Go on, go ahead.
This is the, yeah, what I'm showing on my camera. That's the sort of scrub that I'm talking about. There's lots and lots of these twiggy trees, and it's a really, really confusing sort of, just very confusing to draw.
Because that is belong to the background. This is the tree. Wait a minute. You're actually walking outside.
Yeah, I'm walking outside.
You are, okay. So now you're going to decide on what you are going to keep, how much you want to create. So I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm going to come back over here.
No matter where I am, it's sort of, it seems that the background becomes so merged with the foreground that it's really hard to separate.
You need to separate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like this, you can add a little more, but you have to remain to belong to the same group. Now I'm adding a little bit suggestions, but the values need to be within the value range into the background. Now I'm going to have something like this. And also the lighting a little bit different when you're looking at your watercolor painting, and as what you just show me that when you're walking outside, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to go with a little bit moody, this kind of feeling, and I'm going to add a little bit shadow in the background like that. So sometimes we encounter this problem because you try to consider too many great detail and element into the painting. Like
the canopies just all seem to merge in together, and it's hard to separate the background ones from the foreground ones.
That is called, you are picking the resources, the references, and then you ended up, you need to reorganize them. It's about organizations.
Organization.
Yeah. You are actually taking things that you need and put them in a different priority. Now when you look into the background here, you do see the suggestions of trees, but even though I don't really say it's trees, and have this kind of layering. And now, but however, I want to remain to be like the lightest or the highest contrast is actually in the tree. So I'm going to coming over here. I'm going to even give a little bit suggestions, a few leaves like that, make it a little pop up a little bit, and a little bit, a few leaves over here, pop up a little bit like that. And then I'm going into, I may even use the color pencil to gonna start looking at it. Okay, all right, I'm gonna building up some details. I'm gonna use a little bit lighter color. So when it's the same light, so I need to have some white color as well. So I'm gonna have some white color over here to build up the details. Now here you go. This is the time that you're going into. Okay, now I'm going to focus on that, because before you take care of the whole hierarchy relationship between the bigger area, you should not go into the smaller details. So you remain to be in control through the whole time. You with me?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just thinking of in watercolor, you really need to lay down those
Well, you're going to leave
back
that to be light.
first. So
And now you're going to
yeah,
paint it into the,
paint
at the
over it.
use the calligraphy brush, you can create the details, right? Now I'm
Yeah.
going to adding, it's how easy to add that. It's the technique will be different. I think just use acrylics. Oh no, the pastel will be faster and easier to get the result that we are looking for, right? So I'm going to use
Yes.
this a darker color now. I'm going to add a little bit detail at the front over here, like that. And now here you go. And add a little bit darker color over here. And actually, you don't have to make it very refined. You don't have to make everything so refined, okay? You just only need to make your point. The idea is you take things apart and rebuild it. And that is your challenge. Your biggest challenge is take what you need and make it into a new order. So I think that you can call this painting finish like this. And I'm gonna have this a little bit lighter, but overall, I still want the grass to be a little bit darker. I even push it back a little bit blue color here. My teacher in my graduate school in my MFA program, Gary Kelly, he is a master of pastel painter. So it's the same way that he painted with oil.
Right.
And
I hadn't done. I did that bird with the pastel. I was super
it's
impressed with how
very
much.
much the same, okay?
Mm,
It's all about ideas. It's not about medium. If you know what you want and you know how you use the watercolor or the pastel or oil, you paint it the same way. You just need to put the color over there. But the reason you're doing it this way because you want to create that relationship. And if you don't understand the relationship that you want to create, in that case, doesn't matter what medium, you still cannot make it work. Maybe something I'm going to work on it a little bit more. Maybe this is look like a very dark, right? So you maybe say the sky, I'm going to have a little bit light up a little bit. Okay, now you can fix that, create a little bit balance, and you don't have to make it all even, all smooth. You can just like having a little color, just make it overlaid over here. That will be fine like that. That's adjusting it. Now the color overall look a little bit lighter. So you can see some in the art history, some master, they don't actually having this just the smooth colors. Like on the front over here, I'm gonna have a little bit darker and have some darker, a little color over here to try to create change the color by overlaid a few strokes like that. Now it's good. Now on the front, and I'm gonna have a little bit kind of gray color on the front over here. As what I see that you have that in your painting. I'm gonna have this a little bit like this. Just put the vertical line on it. That's just good. I can feel that a little bit more layering. And I'm gonna have a little bit darker color, maybe a little bit kind of blue color even. I'm gonna have it over here a little bit. It's a little bit too hard, and I'm gonna have it. But your whole process of your painting, doesn't matter what medium we use, it always stay with the biggest relationship. Start with the bigger relationship to smaller relationship, and then remain the relationship. Keep organized that. Everything is all about relationship. Now I just changed the color a little bit and have a little bit more details. Now also the background over here, I'm gonna also have a little bit detail like that, but you don't have to make it too clear or telling it too clear. Sometimes the background remain to be a little bit mystery. That is totally fine. And I can say this is finished already. You can say
Very
this is done.
nice.
It's all about relationship. You don't have to make it like all about the details. You can see that a little bit closer, like that.
Yeah.
So all about relationship. It start from what is the main object, how I'm going to make it to be the main object. And for me, when I'm doing this, I don't have to make it look like a tree. I don't have to work too hard to show it as a tree. And you always can find that, okay, something over here, I like that color. I'm going to move that color a little bit, and you can continue working on it. But you need to keep that in mind when you're working on the detail area. It's still looking for the bigger relationship and how the connection works. And like this color and this color look a little bit fighting, and the size a little bit fighting. In that case, this is fine. I'm going to have some background color, make this a little bit smaller. So the size is not repeating to each other. And now I'm gonna looking for the color. I'm gonna make it a little bit different. So I'm gonna have it on this side, maybe a little bit purplish colors as I see that in your painting. I'm gonna make this a little bit different, right? So it's different from the other side. Now also going to maybe have a little green leaves over here. I'm also going to make it a little bit more different than the other side. Here you go. So how that you're gonna break it to show it a little bit different rhythm between the two different trees. And now looks like the leaves, it have enough suggestions, but you also can see, oh, on the top over here, I'm gonna have a little bit light, show a little bit, and this is how you develop it a little bit more and more. Like you can make a little bit more, capture a little bit more of the form, like that. Here you go. What you need to work on is to follow a process. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm showing you is the process, how to get there. You need to figure that out, how the value is going to be different. You can start from black and white if you need to, but you make sure that you have, say, oh, I'm going to leave this the tree trunk to be the lightest. It's just keep it light. In that case, you have to create the contrast, the difference between the background, the whole background area, and the front over here on the grass over here. How you can create that relationship is just the control of the relationship.
Can I just show you one more thing?
Okay. Now this can be a very good painting too. Now it has its very similar issues. How about because the background a little bit darker?
Yeah, the
grass needs to be darker.
The grass needs to be dark. It's actually sand.
I know, and that you can change them, making the white houses to be standing out. We are not any expert in relationship, but we're always learning one step at a time to master it, to have a better control of the overall relationship that we also call in the artwork called composition.